My name is Haley Monroe, I'm 28 years old, and I've spent most of my adult life trying to be the responsible daughter. I work as a financial analyst in Chicago, a job that pays well but takes everything out of me. My parents, Linda and Bruce Monroe, have always joked that I'm their little accountant, because I'm the one who keeps everyone's bills paid, reminders set, and disasters averted. But nothing could have prepared me for the gut punch I felt last month. I was sipping coffee on a Sunday morning, scrolling through my credit card statement, when my eyes caught a massive charge. Over $7,000 to a travel agency in Florida. My heart dropped. I don't even take vacations. Before I could call the bank, my younger brother Dylan called me. He was too excited to notice the tension in my voice when he said, "Hey, thanks for helping out with this trip. Mom said you covered most of it. We're leaving tomorrow." I froze. "What trip?" I asked, my voice shaking. And that's when it hit me. My entire family, Mom, Dad, Dylan, and even my cousin Savannah, had planned a beach vacation. They hadn't just left me out. They'd used my credit card to make it happen. I hung up the phone, sat on my couch in silence, and let the tears come. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an oversight. This was my family telling me, loud and clear, that I didn't matter enough to be invited, only enough to pay. And in that moment I knew. This was the last straw. Growing up, I was the good kid. I followed the rules, got straight A's, and never caused trouble. But being the good kid came with an invisible price tag. My mom, Linda, was warm to outsiders but sharp-tongued at home. She had a way of turning everything into a competition. Who cleaned faster, who looked thinner, who made her proudest. And somehow, no matter what I did, I always fell short. My dad, Bruce, was quieter, not cruel exactly, but distant. He would work long hours, come home, eat dinner, and vanish into the garage. The only time I really got his attention was when I was solving a problem for him, organizing his bills, helping him write an email, or finding his missing keys. Then there was Dylan, my younger brother by 3 years, the golden child. He could skip chores, flunk a class, crash mom's car, and still be treated like he was the future of the family. When Dylan wanted new sneakers, we all chipped in. When I wanted to join a school trip, Mom said it was too expensive, and reminded me how lucky I was to even have nice clothes. I still remember the first time they put something big in my name. I was 17, and Dad casually mentioned he'd sign me up as the secondary driver on the family car insurance, which meant higher premiums I had to help pay with my part-time job. By the time I was in college, it was normal for my debit card to accidentally get used for groceries or utilities back home. Whenever I protested, Mom's voice would turn icy. "We're a family, Haley. Families share. You should be proud to help." And I was proud, at first. But somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like part of a family. I started feeling like the family's safety net. Looking back now, I can see the patterns so clearly. The Florida trip wasn't a one-time betrayal. It was the climax of a story that started years ago. A story where I was never the daughter, only the helper. By the time I graduated college, I was already used to putting everyone else first. When Dylan racked up student loan debt because he partied more than he studied, I co-signed his consolidation loan so he wouldn't ruin his credit score. When Mom and Dad's roof started leaking, I emptied half my savings account to help them get it fixed. I told myself it was okay. That's what you do when you love your family. But as the years went by, I noticed a pattern. Every Christmas, I was the one buying the big gifts. Mom would gush over Dylan's thoughtful card, but hardly notice that I had maxed out my bonus money to buy them the fancy espresso machine they wanted. I was always there when they needed me. When Dad had surgery 2 years ago, I moved back into my childhood home for 3 months just to take care of him, all while working my full-time job remotely. I'd sit at my laptop from 8 to 5, then cook dinner, clean up, and help him with medication schedules. But when I asked them once, just once, if they could come visit me in Chicago for my birthday, they told me they were too busy that weekend. Dylan had a basketball game they didn't want to miss. I kept telling myself maybe they just didn't realize how much I did. So I tried harder. I picked up extra consulting gigs to save money, secretly hoping I could one day surprise them with a family vacation. My treat, to make up for all the times we never traveled growing up. But now I realize they didn't wait for me to plan anything. They went ahead and took the dream trip without me, and had the audacity to make me pay for it. It wasn't just about the money. It was about every late night, every extra hour I worked, every piece of myself I gave away thinking it would make me belong. And as I stared at the credit card charge that Sunday morning, I felt something inside me harden. This wasn't just disappointment. This was betrayal. And I wasn't sure I could forgive them this time. I called my parents that night. My hands were shaking so badly I had to put the phone on speaker just to keep from dropping it. Mom answered, cheerful as ever. Haley, did Dylan tell you about the trip? Isn't it exciting? Exciting. My voice cracked. You used my credit card to pay for a vacation you didn't even invite me on. There was a long pause before Mom replied, oh honey, don't be dramatic. You never take time off work anyway. We thought you wouldn't want to go. You thought I wouldn't want to go? I repeated, my voice rising. You didn't even ask me. You just took my money. Dad finally spoke up, his tone flat. You can afford it, Haley. You make more than all of us. It's just a trip. Stop making it a big deal. I felt my chest tighten. So I'm good enough to pay, but not good enough to sit at the table with you? No one answered. I heard Dylan laugh faintly in the background and say, chill out, Hales, you're ruining the vibe. That was it. I could feel the tears burning in my eyes, but I swallowed them down. You know what? I said, my voice cold. Enjoy your trip. It's the last one you'll ever take on my dime. I hung up before they could respond. For a long moment, I just sat there in silence, staring at the wall. Then I stood up, grabbed my wallet, and cut my credit card in half. The sound of the scissors snapping through the plastic felt like a door slamming shut, a door I wasn't planning on opening again. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just angry. I was done. The next morning, I woke up with puffy eyes and a pounding headache, but something inside me felt strangely clear. 4 years, I had been the Monroe family's fixer, financier, and emotional punching bag. If I didn't cut the cord now, I never would. The first thing I did was call my bank. I disputed the travel charge, reported my card as stolen, and had it cancelled immediately. The woman on the phone asked if I wanted a replacement card. No, I said firmly. I want to start fresh. Then I opened a new account at a completely different bank, one my parents didn't know about. I moved my savings there, set up new passwords, and even updated my mailing address so no statement would ever land in their hands again. By the end of the week, I had made a decision. I was leaving Chicago. Not forever, but for long enough to breathe without feeling their shadow over me. I sold the extra furniture that I didn't love, packed my essentials into 3 suitcases, and put the rest in storage. My friends were shocked when I told them I was moving to Asheville, North Carolina, a city I had only visited once on a weekend trip. Are you sure? My best friend Maya asked over coffee. I smiled for the first time in days. Yeah. I need a place where nobody knows me, where I can just be Haley, not the family ATM. Within a month, I had a tiny apartment with creaky wooden floors and a view of the Blue Ridge Mountains. I got a modest job at a local credit union, nothing fancy, but enough to cover my bills. The first few weeks were quiet, painfully quiet, but slowly, I began to heal. I joined a weekend hiking group and met people who didn't care about what I could do for them, only about whether I brought enough trail mix for the group. I started journaling every night, writing down everything I felt, the anger, the grief, the relief. With each page, it felt like I was taking my life back piece by piece. And one morning, as I sipped coffee on my tiny balcony, I realized something. For the first time in my life, I felt free. It didn't take long for the phone calls to start. First it was Mom, leaving a string of voicemails. Haley, you can't just run off like this. We're family. Call me back. Then. Your father is really hurt by what you said. He hasn't been sleeping. And finally, the guilt trip. If anything happens to us while you're gone, you'll regret this. I didn't call back. A week later, Dylan texted me a photo from the beach, him grinning with a drink in his hand, followed by, "Trip was awesome. Too bad you missed it. Maybe next time don't freak out." I stared at my phone until the screen went dark and then deleted the message without replying. The calls kept coming. When I blocked Mom's number, she started emailing me. When I stopped reading the emails, she started calling from different numbers. Then came the messages from relatives. My aunt writing, "Your mom says you abandoned them. That's not like you, sweetie. What's going on? Abandoned them." The words burned. I wanted to defend myself, to explain everything, but I forced myself not to. These were the same relatives who praised Dylan for finding himself, after dropping out of college, but called me selfish for moving out of state. Then, one night, I got a text from Mom that made my heart skip. "Your dad isn't feeling well. You should come home before it's too late." I almost caved, almost packed a bag. But something in my gut told me to wait. An hour later, Dylan posted a story on Instagram of Dad grilling burgers, laughing with a beer in his hand. That was the moment I knew. They weren't asking me back because they missed me. They were trying to pull me back into the same cycle I had just escaped. And this time, I wasn't going back. Months passed, and the silence from my family eventually became peaceful. I still had moments where I missed them, where I wished things had been different, but I no longer felt that gnawing, desperate need to earn their love. One Saturday morning, I found myself standing in a travel agency downtown. Not because anyone forced me to be there, but because I wanted to be. I booked a solo trip to Colorado for the spring. Hiking, hot springs, and a cozy cabin rental. As I walked out of the office with my confirmation email, I felt a rush of something I hadn't felt in years. Excitement. That night, I wrote the final entry in my journal for the year. I've spent my whole life trying to prove I belonged. But belonging isn't something you earn by paying for everyone else's happiness. Belonging is something you create, by choosing yourself. I didn't know if I would ever reconcile with my parents. Maybe one day they'd see what they'd done. Maybe not. But I finally understood that their choices didn't define my worth, only mine did. And for the first time, I felt proud of the choice I made. To anyone listening, I want to say this. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. Family isn't proven by shared blood, but by shared love, the kind that doesn't demand you sacrifice yourself to earn it. As I zipped my suitcase for my first ever trip of my own, I smiled. I wasn't running away this time. I was running toward the life I deserved. And that was the most freeing feeling in the world.